Every spring, thousands of people involved in the sign making and wide format digital print industries descend on the NEC in Birmingham for the annual Sign and Digital UK show. Now more than 25 years on, the event is firmly established as the leading exhibition for the sign making and wide format print industries in the country.
Essentially, the show started in the 1980s and it was very much more of a marketplace type of event, and very much a smaller event with sign makers meeting suppliers and basically just talking one-to-one and developing their business in that respect. It then went on into the 90s as a much more technology-driven event.
Signs and sign making are as old as civilization. In fact, signs and symbols predate the written word as something everyone could understand. Over the centuries, we've moved from basic imagery to moving graphics, LED and wide format. There has, in short, been a revolution in the last few years, captured through the prism of Sign and Digital UK's annual trade show. Every year, thousands of sign makers, buyers from blue-chip companies, owners and managers of print and sign businesses, those interested in the emerging industries, along with the media and design professionals, converge on Birmingham's NEC to experience Sign and Digital UK.
I think I've been to every one of them. Yeah, I think so. And I can remember certainly the early ones were very, very, very small. And if you look at the show today, absolutely, completely, like chalk and cheese from what it was when it started, with probably about 2 or 3, 4 exhibitors to what you see today at the NEC. And I think in those days the NEC didn't exist anyway. And I certainly had some hair. So
I've been attending Sign UK as it was in the early days for the last 11 years. So from a show that was very much focused around the widgets and grommets of the sign industry, it has morphed into very much a digital show. That's not to say the other areas of the sign industry are not important, and routing equipment and self-adhesive coloured vinyl is still very much is very much prevalent at the show, but it has now become very much more of a digital show.
That was a long time ago. I think actually it was probably, I'm not sure it's 1992 or 1993, but I think I'd only been with the company no more than probably a couple of months when my MD at the time sort of said we were going to the exhibition. So I'd never been to an exhibition before, and it was built with a shelf scheme in those days, quite a simple stand, because in those days all we sold was application tape from our parent company in Germany. So I went there and not knowing quite what to expect, but I have to admit I quite enjoyed it. Talking to people there and trying to sell our products, and it was very interesting. And of course people came on and were looking for new application tape providers, and I believe we did very well from it.
From the humble A-board and safety signage to wide format digital printers and stunning vehicle wrapping, Sign and Digital UK is and always has been a showcase for the latest innovations in the industry. A far cry from the early days. The early days, how things were back in the day.
It was all cut by hand, scalpel cut and stuck on by hand and so on and so forth. No printers in those days, it was all built up with different coloured vinyl.
And how things are changing.
Well, I've certainly seen a lot of changes over in my time with my father, joining my father early 90s when we were painting signs with paintbrushes. And then of course the vinyl graphics, little 4B printers, the plotters rather, came out, weeding all the vinyl out. And of course digital print came out, printed onto vinyl when the inks were developed suitably enough for outdoor application. And of course now they're extra super wide, so I think really the advancement has to be LED, sort of moving message screens. It's a technology that still impresses me, and and I think when that price point does come down, I think that will affect and revolutionise the signage industry quite massively. And that's without a doubt, that is the next step.
Some funny old things happened back then.
What goes on tour stays on tour, Harry, I think is the answer to that. But I certainly, if I think back to my early days of attending the show 10 years ago, when The full solvent printers were often in full flight during the show. It's often difficult to remember what actually happened over the 3 days because your memory seemed to be wiped by the solvents.
What was it like for a first-timer?
The first time I ever went onto the stand, the first time we were there, we were displaying a table. It was like a fold-up table with fold-up legs. But it had a special glass top. It was quite heavy. And then it had a special cutting frame on, which went backwards and forwards and side to side. So the idea being, Harry, was that you could lay vinyl printed or labels on it, and then you could quite accurately, using this special machine, cut these labels out. And we'd been there at the exhibition, and we'd sat in the usual way, because I always find that the exhibitions, you go there, and for the first half an hour or something, especially if you're near the back of the exhibition, you sit there twiddling your thumbs. And then you think, oh, we'll have a coffee. So you send somebody off to get a coffee, and you know by the time they come back, everybody's now there, and you never drink your coffee because it goes cold. So we got to that point of the day, and Martin, my colleague, because there's only the two of us on the stand, he said, I'll just go to the toilet. So he rushed off to the toilet, and then somebody came up and said to me, this is interesting, this table, can you explain it? Of course, it's the first time I'd explained anything. So I could have put my head down and started sort of explaining this table, and I felt that it went a little bit dark. And I thought, and I looked up, and there was 20 or 30 people standing around looking at me, and I thought, no, this is it. And I have to admit, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Sign and Digital as a show has changed over the years. But do the exhibitors change?
When we first exhibited at the show, we took our Kongsberg table along, and we thought, fantastic, it was a showstopper, everybody loved it. And then I think the second or third year we brought some of our software along that were the people in the graphics and the packaging trade know us for, and nobody was interested. People walked past the stand, didn't understand why this market requires software. And then the next year we had a few more people interested in software, and our software also got better for this market as we've developed it. And now I would say it's 50-50. Half the customers come along to see our software, half come to see the table.
It's always been a show to do business and to meet and talk to colleagues.
There's great camaraderie between the exhibitors and the visitors as well, and you do see a lot of the same faces there. And I think it's their one opportunity each year to basically mix with the industry and learn, take the best advice, and also talk to their peers as well. Some sign makers will spend the day there and then they need to get home for the next day's work. Others will spend some time, actually socialising at the event, and maybe we're very close to Birmingham city centre, so they'll take their staff in there and have very much more of a social aspect to the show as well, and spend a couple of days at the show. So there's a mix, really.
For 25 years, Sign and Digital UK has been at the forefront of an industry that has changed beyond recognition in the use of technology. A coming together of clients, distributors and sign makers in an environment where contacts are made and business is done. It can also be famously exhausting for visitors and exhibitors alike. How best to sum up the show in a few words?
Well, good question. Exciting, I think, is one. Looking at all the various things that you can do or you could do. And opportunity is another one. You've got to look at it. It's, you're going there to find an opportunity that's going to enable you to go on, build a business and hopefully make more money out of it.
Okay, cut that bit out, that bit.
Tiring.
Exciting.
It's a fun selling show.
Enjoyable, actually.
It's a day out, isn't it?
A fantastic opportunity.
It's a must.
Yeah.